This is Tucker Carlson. Now, I think there's got to be good info that he has that this is true, or else he wouldn't have. Because Tucker Carlson never supports any conspiracy theories, and he's not about salaciousness. He's not about insinuation, innuendo, salaciousness at all. So what is the evidence? We got to look into the evidence. What's this guy's name?
You're looking at it. This is the evidence.
This is the evidence? Him?
Yeah. Him.
Come on. Can you go to something? Can we pull up the guy's name and see who he is? I think I texted you a whole Politico. This guy's been around for a little while. He didn't just emerge out of nowhere. So, wait, first let's watch this Tucker, because this one's good. Can we watch that? Because this is Tucker doing a little AOC, speaking to camera through his phone.
Obama had been having sex with men and smoking crack. And a guy came forward, Larry Sinclair, and said, I'll sign an affidavit. And he did. I'll take a lie detector. And he did. I smoked crack with Barack Obama and had sex with him. Well, that was obviously true. Nobody reported it, not because they were squeamish about sex or drugs, but because the Obama campaign said anyone who reports on this gets no access to the Obama campaign.
Oh.
And so they didn't report on it.
People wanted access.
So that happens. That's just one.
Wait a second. Pause it.
Example, but that happens.
Because that's how our country works. The president can deny access to reporters. Mm-hmm. No, it's an open. You go in. Your organization, right, is credentialed, and it goes in, and it gets pref brief. You know. So Obama said, if anyone and that was enough to keep it quiet. If anyone reports on this, I'm not talking to you. If anyone reports on my crack, coke, gay sex, bar perusing, wild days, I will not talk to you. You are dead to me. So that was enough of a deterrent for journalists to lay off it until Tucker got unleashed on Twitter, the social media site formerly known as Twitter. So Larry Sinclair, let's take a peek into Larry Sinclair. I bet you, let me guess, Larry Sinclair is just been married to the same guy. He's got a business. Okay, let's take a peek. This is from 2008. So Larry Sinclair has been around for a long time. Okay, there's his mugshot. Larry Sinclair is wanted in Colorado. Larry Sinclair is wanted in Colorado. But you can catch him today at the National Press Club. Sinclair is familiar to political junkie and reporters as the source of an outlandish allegation about Senator Barack Obama. Tales that begin with sex and drugs and moved on to murder. Okay, so I remember now. He wrote a book about it. He wrote a book. So he actually has a book out called like Butt Sex with Barack. I think it's what it's called. We can check the title, but I'm pretty sure it was called Butt Sex with Barack. He's from Duluth, Minnesota. He appears at the margins of every presidential campaign. And both Presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton had their own obscure accusers with dramatic allegations. Well, Bill Clinton's probably were true. But as the old media ignores him, Sinclair has taken full advantage of the internet and a video in which he makes his claims to have viewed more than 900,000 times. So since 2008, he's been saying, I had butt sex with Barack. He's reserved the Holman Lounge at downtown Washington's National Press Club to try to lend his story the legitimacy that comes with national media attention. His biography may get in the way of that pitch. Okay, so they're saying some of his personal history may conflict with him being a reliable source. Let's check. Public records and court filings, okay, that's anyone can find, reveal that he's a 27-year criminal with a specialty in crimes involving deceit. The record includes forgery, charges in 2 states, one of which drew Sinclair a 16-year jail sentence. The Pueblo County, Colorado Sheriff's Office also has an outstanding warrant for Sinclair's arrest for forging an acquaintance's signature and stealing her tax refunds. Hold on. It is what it is, said Sinclair's spokesman, Montgomery Blair Sibley, of his client's criminal record. He's not hiding from it. He's not denying it. Okay? I'm a guy who does a lot of deceitful crime, but when it comes to me talking about having sex with the most powerful man at that time in the country, I tell it like it is. I tell it like it is. And Obama, I'll tell you this much, it wasn't his first time. Because let me tell you, he worked it. He worked that fucking sausage. I came 3 times with Barack. Barack's got a clean asshole. It's clean. It's clean. Let me tell you something. People say he's got menthol lips from smoking cigarettes. Well, let me tell you something. He's got menthol anus as well, because there's a blue fucking halo around that holy ass. And you can believe me, because I'm Larry Sinclair. I did 16 years. I did 16 years in 2 states. So it's not being denied by his spokesperson here. So what I'm telling you is public record. He's got a criminal record. He had a jail sentence of 16 years. He was forging an acquaintance's signature and stealing her tax refunds. Sounds like a fun hang, but not a great guy. If you know him and he gets big and you get big, he may make a story up about you. But Sinclair has addressed the elements of his criminal past. So he's talked about it on his own blog and in court filings punctuated by unusual spellings and capitalizations. You don't say. This guy's not a candidate for editor-in-chief of New York Magazine? No? Addressing the Pueblo County theft charges, Sinclair swore in a 2004 affidavit that his alleged victim seeks to use defendant as a scapegoat for her husband's and brother's problems with Mexican drug dealers. This guy's hanging out with the creme de la creme. So it wasn't his fault. It was a scapegoat because her husband and her brothers had problems with Mexican cartels. Sometimes you don't have to make jokes. You can just read who the guy is. Sinclair's affidavit, which he posted to his blog, accompanied a request to a Colorado judge to dismiss the warrant on the grounds that Sinclair was disabled with a severe spine injury. I can't come to work. I hurt my back. And nerve damage. Okay, he was disabled. So he wanted the warrant dismissed. That returning to Colorado would put his life in danger because of his disability. And that he was terminally ill. This was 2008. He's still alive in 2023, and he just gave an interview with Tucker Carlson on Twitter. So terminally ill. This sounds a lot like the black guy who did his special on HBO after telling Ellen he had brain tumors in his head. He's still alive. So Sinclair. So this is funny when you go back and read this article from 2008, where his affidavit says that he's terminally ill. He has a severe spine injury and nerve damage. But he survived. A long time, too. It's 2023. He is, and this is Sinclair, who is still alive, is 46. So now he's what? This was 2008. So now he's 60s, something like that. He stands 5'7". He weighs 168 pounds, according to arrest records. Kid's got a rap sheet. Colorado records list him having 13 aliases, including Larry Vizcarra Avila and Mohammed Gahanan. His story has generally been ignored by the mainstream media because he's been unable to substantiate his allegations. But I thought he signed an affidavit and took a lie detector test. He's come to public attention recently, however, because his planned appearance at the National Press Club drew complaints from a wider array of prominent liberal bloggers, led by whoever this person is. Their petition to prevent Sinclair from renting space at the club, which bloggers feared would lend him credibility, drew more than 11,000 signatures. Why would you stop this? Sometimes I don't understand, and I'm not even talking about who's right or wrong or if this is true or not, because I think it's true. Okay? I think this is true.
You do?
I do think it's true. I think that he happens to be a con man is a coincidence.
Right.
I just happen to believe it's completely coincidental. I believe it. I believe. Especially when he said, I tell you what, it wasn't his first time. You can tell right there. That's a detail right there that you could tell he's not lying. If he takes a lie detector test on the Joe Rogan podcast or the PDS podcast or one of those podcasts and he passes, that's enough for me.
He should identify Obama's dick, like the way they do.
He should be able to do a birthmark.
Do a birthmark.
I told him, well, he did identify the asshole. He said there's a blue halo around it. He's got the same sort of menthol ring, cigarette ring.
Yeah, his ass closed.
Yeah, his ass closed. It's a holy hole. But my point is, You know, there was actually a lot of liberals who funded they funded like Lake, and they funded some of the more extreme candidates because they knew that they would win against them. When you got a gift like this, you need to embrace it. You shouldn't try to protest to get it. You embrace it and go, yeah, maybe it's true. Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out. If I was in the Democrat war camp, I'd be like, let's grant him an interview. Like, let's bring him in.
So you're saying Tucker's working for the Dems?
Tucker's working for the Dems.
Interesting.
Tucker's working for the Dems because Tucker is too much of an honest journalist. Nonpartisan. He's just about the American people. He's about the working man, truly. That's what he cares about. I've seen, you don't know the bars I've seen Tucker hanging out in. Not one pair of boat shoes. Everyone was wearing socks and boots, drinking Miller Lights, just him at the end of the bar, singing Sweet Caroline with a bunch of goddamn SpaceX citizen blue-collar workers in blue jeans. He's a blue jean kind of guy you can have a beer with and fucking eat some barbecue with, man. He's not this fucking Newport blue blood who hangs out and eats shellfish out of an Asian woman's face. It's not that. He's not up there in Newport, Rhode Island, sucking on scallops. He's down there at the bar eating chicken fingers with Dennis in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, saluting the flag and serving those people. His viewers are his people, and he's one of them, is my point. So the only excuse I can have for this is he's been bought and paid for by the Dems. Because no way he wouldn't just read this one article or go to the public records and find out that the guy had an alias named Mohammed Gahanadan. Can we keep scrolling? Because this is the gift that just keeps giving. The website whitehouse.com reportedly offered Sinclair $100,000 if he could pass a polygraph test verifying his claims. He took them up on it, and the site said in a press release that the polygraph organizers said his results indicated deception. That's not what was told to me by Tucker, who administered it. The polygraph is true or false based on who administers it. So White House, obviously, it's going to come back deception, but whatever other one he took came back true. Sinclair then suggested the polygraph sponsors had been bribed to skew the results against him, an allegation his lawyer Sibley said he would expand on at his press conference. So he got one polygraph wrong, but he must have taken another one because Tucker says he took another one. It just makes sense that the guy smokes crack, man. I mean, listen, Hunter, look who his vice president is. What do you think what do you think the holidays look like with the Bidens and the Barack Obamas? We're talking about trannies, coke. I mean, it's all there, dude. I mean, it's a fucking wild night. It's a real wild night. You know what I mean?
I want an invite to that.
I want an invite. I'll be honest with you. And look, a lot of Republicans want an invite to that party too. They don't want to admit it, but you got blow. You got trans. You got alcohol. You got yayo. You got bags of yayo in the West Wing. So, like many allegations, he's been accused of this by a lot of other people, right? Is there a lot of other people who have come forward and said, I also had sex with Barack Obama. I also smoke crack. Because, people who smoke crack don't usually just do it once. But hold up, before we check on that, I just want to, because this is just good. Sibley, his lawyer, is best known as the lawyer for the D.C. Madam, the late Deborah Jean Palfrey. The Florida Bar Association suspended Sibley's license to practice law, in part for being a vexatious litigant, a suspension that applies in Washington, D.C. as well. So the lawyer's got some issues as well. That's why she took the case. Wednesday, WhiteHouse.com has scheduled a competing press conference outside the National Press Club to discuss the results of the polygraph. Sinclair's brushes with the government long predate his recent interest in Senator Obama. The details of his criminal record surfaced after he filed a defamation suit against 3 anonymous online critics with the names Tube Socks Ted D, who has written, among other claims, that he was living in a mental institution at the time he allegedly met Obama.
Well, that you could just look up, right?
You could just look that up. So maybe he wasn't living in the mental institution at the time he looked Obama. Listen, I don't know. I'm just saying, for Tucker to do this interview, I believe there's got to be something better. What is there? I think Tucker would have came out with it, right? He would have probably led with that, being like, we have this evidence. You told me where the birthmark is. Okay? We had operatives sneak into his whatever multi-billion-dollar mansion he lives in now after he got rich after public office, from being a community organizer. Now he's probably to his Netflix deals. Everyone watched those shows, by the way. What did he do? Wasn't he starting a podcast and shows and producing content? And somehow you just end up with hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Just somehow?
Yeah.
After office, you just end up with hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sometimes not after office.
Sometimes while you're in it, depending on whatever stock tips you hear down the hall. Oh, my God. So he's only got one gay accuser? Is there not anyone else? How about crack? Has anyone else? I'm putting out, what do you call an SOS or a challenge or what is it? You will become a guest. I want actually in your comments for me to hear your story. It doesn't have to be true. I just want to hear your story about whatever trans crack party you were at with Obama. I want to hear about your experience or someone you've met who, or someone your mother's friends may have dated who smoked crack with Barack Obama. I want to hear it. You will not only be a guest on the Yannis Pappas Hour, I will give you $110 out of my wallet. Okay? If you to a credible story about smoking crack rock with Barack Hussein Saddam Obama. So what do we come up with?
There's only one so far.
There's only one accuser. We can't corroborate one other person who smoked crack with him. Is crack something you just smoke once, or does it kind of get its grips in you?
Not if you're hunting Biden.
Well, has there ever been someone who smoked cracks who just laid off afterwards? Is it like shellfish? Is it like mussels where you take one and you're like, it's not for me? You know?
Yeah.
What are the chances you smoke crack once? Because what I hear is that it really gets its grips in you chemically. But I mean, if you're like a rich guy, maybe it's like an off night. You're like, hey, let's do something wild. I want to smoke crack rock. I want to smoke crack like the brothers in the ghetto. What if Obama really speaks like that, like off camera, and then he gets on camera and he's like that? We're going to make the people, you know. And then he gets off and he's like, oh, give me some crack. Where's my crack? Where's my fucking pipe? Where's my pipe? So the guy wrote a biography. He's wrote a book. Obviously, there's truth to this story because it's on X.